some flair. Mortal flesh is so fallible. Time to up the stakes. Amount of my might. Shadow, rise and fight. Until next time. Unexpected. Pardon?
I'm not up to that just yet.
Your absurd defiance ends here, hatchling.
Are you ready, my champion?
The fires of 1,000 suns. You do not have the strength, hatchling.
That may be, but I am not alone.
How pathetic. The fires of 1,000 suns. The fires of 1,000 suns. Incineration.
No cap, this is probably the strongest build I've ever played, and at the beginning of the video you saw that we annihilate any boss. It's easily hitting poison dot cap. We are still super tanky. This is probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Nope. We're just gonna quickly run a map to showcase the clear, which is by far the biggest downside of the build. And let's see, before we jump into like all the explanation how the build works, let's demonstrate the clear. Most of the clear is handled by the prolif from the Pathfinder, and it's like not terrible. It's not like a super clear build, but for the tankiness we got and the single target, it's just ridiculous. And I'm gonna showcase also the Crucible. They are like really a joke with this build. As you can see, I can just stand at everything. I don't even care. It's like pretty much a one-hand build. You don't even use your flask because they are all automated. And even like tanky essences are like nothing. I mean, that one was just like the 2. I don't even bother looking for loot right now. Just quickly go over the map, and you can also use Black Bearer to have some help while clearing. But as you can see, it's not like super terrible, but it could be better. Let's see the Crucible. Do we have something just like a random bow? Let's just try to face tank everything. As you can see, we are not... Sometimes your life flickers a bit. The biggest downside, and what mostly kills you, are degens. So that's something to keep in mind. So boss fights like Maven, what else? Probably Shaper Beams, Uber Eldar, they have a lot of degen fields, so that can be a bit annoying. Other than that, they're super easy, like Cyrus, Uber Cyrus, it's just a joke. Okay, let's just leave it at that. And go over the build. Where do we start? Let's start with offense. This build all revolves around this node from the Crucible tree. Totem Explode on death, dealing 600% of the life as physical damage, and you might have seen other people do videos about that. They're using conversions like extra damage, fist to extra code, or whatever it is, to one-shot big packs of, or one-shot or new bosses away. And I was just too lazy to level up a new character, so I took my Impending Doom Pathfinder and just reorganized my gear, my skill tree, to do a poison variation of this. And the other important note is that the skills would summon totem have 70% chance to summon 2 totems instead. With that, as well as a note in the skill tree where we have skills that would summon a totem have a 30% chance to summon 2 totem instead, we have a 100% chance. And what that means is that we can use Empower instead of multiple totems. That boosts our damage significantly. The bow itself is easy to craft. I'm probably gonna add a clip at the end of this video where I craft the bow on Craft of Exile. We use the Devouring Totem. You could use other totems, but I think this has the highest base HP. Empowered, multiple traps, anomalous. While using anomalous just for support skill, have up to 2 additional traps placed at a time. So we have 5 with that. Divergent cluster traps, that's super important in my opinion, because it reduces the trap spread. Without that, as you can see, the traps are getting like spread apart pretty far, and with that they're all really clustered at one point, and that helps because we are not sincerely called like the Assassin Ascendancy for trap heroes, and so we have to trigger all the traps at they're not triggering all at the same time if they don't stand on it. That's why I'm using the Divergent cluster traps, so they are more clustered, as well as the Divergent trap support, which support skill have 20% increased trap trigger area of effect. That helps as well. And the charge trap support, where I didn't even bother to quality up. The mechanic is pretty simple. We throw the traps that then trigger the totems, or they spawn 2 totems each trap. But as you can see, we have a totem limit of 1, and that means that every totem that spawns will explode instead of 1, because we are overwriting them. And since you cannot scale the damage other by generic damage, like you don't have to use any other linked skills, so nothing else would benefit you. Most of the gear is still from my Impending Doom character, so there's stuff there that's not even optimized yet. Another big thing is that we need to reach 100% poison chance. How do we achieve that? we have our, where is it? Divergent Herald of Agony, which gives us 40% chance to poison. We have this node over here, which gives us 200% chance to ignite, feast shock, and poison cursed enemies. Since we're using Blasphemy Aura, we're always applying a curse to the enemy. That gives us 60% chance to poison. We have 15% here, which is 75, 10% here, which is 85, and then we have a craft on a quiver, which gives us 15%, which is 100% chance to poison on hit. Other than that, the quiver is just HP and some, and the poison mod. Other than that, the rest is really irrelevant. The base is 50% of physical damage as extra chaos damage, which is nice. And that's pretty much it for the offense art, which is actually insane that that's enough to instantly nuke every boss. Of course, in the skill tree we have some damage nodes, but mostly utility and defense. We have a cluster jewel here, which doesn't do anything because it's still from my impending doom. Here we have some increased cast damage and cast speed. Here we have hinder on hit, but that's for chaos spells, so we don't even proc that. And yeah, we just had generic chaos damage over here, so like you see, that's pretty much offense-wise. Offense-wise, that's pretty much it. Let's talk about the defense. Like I said before, the main thing that kills you are degens. So that's something that this character is not very good at handling. You could think about getting Lead Shade, but I don't know. I have to test around if that even makes sense. How do we handle degens so far? We have a corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. And the normal bleeds we don't really care about. And we use the Pantheon for poison mitigation. But there are a lot of degens like the Shaper Beam or the Maven Fields. So these are kinda hard to deal with. What else? So we are Pathfinder, so we are using the Flagellant Flask tech which I stole from Steel Mage from last season, where you have gain 3 charges when you're hit by an enemy, and we have that on all our utility flasks. And what that means is every time we are getting hit, we regain 3 charges, and since we are Pathfinder and having a lot of charge recovery, they are getting instantly up to 100%, and then we are used when charges reach full. And that way, with the node right here with this mastery, we recover 4% of life when you use a flask. We recover pretty much 12% every time when we are inside a PAX, or when we use the flask. And occasionally we have these two that also proc, and we have then 20% life recovered. We have 100% uptime on these 3 flasks. The Quicksilver flask is not 100% uptime, but around 90%. Same for the Progenesis. You don't need to have the Progenesis flask. You could just run Petrified Blood for the tech. What's it called again? The Blood Notch tech, which I'm gonna explain in a second. So you don't really need the Progenesis flask, but you could run Petrified Blood, then can reserve some life for aura, and then you don't even need the Presence Amulet for the Despair aura. You might even run a different amulet. What is the Blood Notch tech? So you've probably seen it somewhere already. This is pretty much ridiculous. You're getting 58% of damage taken from stunning hits is recovered as life. So with some recoup as life nodes here, as well as the immutable force, which increases the stun and block recovery, you are basically getting stunned every time you're getting hit by taking this node. Stun transfer is based on 6% of your energy shield instead of life. Since we have very little energy shield, we are getting stunned most of the time, but you don't even realize the stuns, as you saw in the gameplay. And because of the stun and block recovery here, we also have like obviously the fist conversion. Everything we have is we have 100% conversion. We have 50% from lightning coil, 23% from the taste of hate with all the flask effect increases we have. That makes 73 plus the 7% of the implicit are 80 plus the 8% on the craft are 88, and we're running a Watcher's Eye, which gives us another 12, which is 100% conversion. And that, in combination with all the defense tech I just explained, with the flagellants, with the blood notch, makes us super tanky. As you saw, we can tank the balls from Uber, Searing Exarch, and everything in maps. We barely die. As you can see, I reached level 98 without even trying. That's pretty much it defense wise. What else? Gear wise, we obviously have also spell suppression. So on our helmet we have the increased duration of aim on you inflict while focused. This is still from my impending doom character, and it just helps out for bosses to have like your focus up, and then your aimants are getting a high duration. The Presence of Doom, which lets us use the spare hour with no reservation. The bow, the quiver I just explained. We are using a Circle of Nostalgia. It's also pretty just for damage boost. Our second ring is just for resistance, some stats, and that's pretty much it. So nothing special there. We have the Gentle Touch. These are just for applying the temp chain on hit, so the explosion hits and then it applies the temporal chain. We have our belt. This is still for my impending doom character as well. You don't need the cooldown recovery rate at all anymore. I didn't bother to change it. I only use it because I have the enchant from enemies withered, but you have 6% to all resistance. Just like my eye jewels still have cooldown recovery rate. You don't need that anymore. I didn't bother changing it. Just like the boots, they have cooldown recovery rate and implicit. You don't need that anymore. Yeah, so a lot of stuff you could still improve, but this build just does everything without a problem. And as you can see, I've cleared every Uber boss in the game deathless, and the hardest ones were Maven and probably the Uber Elder fight because of the degens. Other than that, you can tank Shaper Slams, you can tank the ball face from Searing Exarch like you saw. I'm gonna include the PoB down below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm gonna leave a video at the end where I'm crafting the bow so you can see that, and that's pretty much it.